Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to tonight's City Council meeting. The council meeting is called to order, and I kindly ask our distinguished city clerk to please take the roll call.
Bruno? Burkhart? Aye. Or here. Ruby? Here. Caven?
Here.
Kilberg?
Here.
Kasserag?
Here.
Maladra?
Here.
Marks?
Here.
Mayor? Here. Swanson?
Here. We begin our council meetings, folks, with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to invite our special guests tonight to lead us in the pledge. Liz Meister and Ashley, I believe it's Androchetti. Their advisors, Chloe Judd, Adriana Crucelis, Sophia Benton, and Brody Pfeiffer. Are they all here?
Just Adriana.
Oh, you're the only student? Oh, heck, man. Well, it's all yours.
Yeah.
Adriana, it's all yours.
Oh, okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All of you know via email by our friend Ben McCready that tonight our International Cultural Arts Commission is hosting a dinner at the Walrus Room for our guests from overseas. I just came from there. It's a heck of a turnout. So we're going to do our very best to have a brief meeting. So if anyone wants to join them following for either a glass of something special or dessert, that is the objective. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay. We begin tonight's meeting with, look at that. Item 3A, folks, is to proclaim October 23rd through the 31st as Red Ribbon Week in the city of Geneva. Is there a motion? So moved. Motion by Mr. Marks, seconded by Mr. Swanson, and we have some special guests. And now I have it right. But the advisors are going to come up and say hello, and then we're going to hear from Geneva High School sophomore, Adriana Crucelis.
My name is Ashley Andersetti,
I'm Lisa Meister.
and we brought a very special guest here to talk to you guys about Red Ribbon Week.
Excellent.
Ashley and I are the co-sponsors for the SAD Club, and it stands for Students Against Destructive Decisions, and we appreciate your time at your committee meeting, and we also brought red ribbons for each of you.
Oh, good.
We'll let Adriana take it away.
Okay. Good evening. I'm gonna adjust this really quick. My name is Adriana Crucelis, and I'd like to thank you all for your time at your meeting to recognize the importance of Red Ribbon Week. The nation celebrates this week each year to send a message to the community about taking responsibility for your health and making mature decisions regarding substance abuse. Now, more than ever, we need to help support each other and promote strength in asking for help for those with addiction problems. We also need to promote asset building in teens to help prevent experimenting and social drug use. Statistics show that teens that are more involved in their community and have a sense of belonging and stability are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. In trying to make an impactful campaign with students, we highlight the 6 principles that facilitate a drug-free lifestyle. These principles are finding a natural high that is your passion, surrounding yourself with positive peer influences, finding a positive mentor to encourage you, having a firm belief in your talents and abilities, setting goals for your future, and building resilience to help you get through the challenges in life. This year's theme is Celebrate Life, Live Drug-Free. To me, celebrating life is encouraging your friends, family, and community to continue making smart, healthy choices. It is important to acknowledge the pressure our society puts on us, but most important to be brave together by resisting unhealthy decisions. At the high school level, we are helping students build assets where they give back to their community through our annual food drive. We also are working with GTV students to promote healthy decision-making and being brave in standing up to peer pressure. We are encouraging more connections between clubs at school and increased positive social networking among teens and positive mentors. We are putting out a notice to parents to inform them of signs to look for that might indicate their children are using, along with resources for how to intercede at different stages of use. According to John Sudd, founder of naturalhigh.org, teenagers are at an important phase where they're trying to figure out life on their own, preparing for the time when they will be responsible for themselves. They're trying to navigate in their world and enjoy new freedoms, yet their brains are still not developed and they lack context, life experience, and the ability to see how their current choices will affect them in their future. They don't know how to match their freedom with their responsibility. For that reason, they need adults within their world to help pump the brakes while they are pushing gas on dynamic that is uncomfortable time for teens and for parents alike. Making mistakes is a key part of growing up, and kids learn to make better decisions by experimenting consequences. What we know is that kids who delay their first drink of alcohol until past their 18th birthday will have an infinitely higher likelihood of avoiding lifelong struggle with alcohol. Most addiction problems start during the teenage years. The teenage brain will permanently be altered to crave more and more risky behaviors if they indulge in substances and the subsequent dopamine rush of their brains enjoy. Teens are hypersensitive to their perception of their friends' behaviors that are grossly overestimated on how many of their peers use drugs including alcohol. At the same time, teens underestimate how harmful substances like marijuana or prescription painkillers can be. As a community, we can make an impact by providing fun, healthy things to do in our park district programs, our city planning, and our school district extracurricular plans so that teens have a safe and fun activities to participate in with their friends that allow adult supervision and guidance. As parents, we encourage you to talk about healthy decision-making under pressure within your own families and encourage an open dialogue with your kids. We thank you for your time and attention to this important annual week of drug prevention and awareness.
We thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to open it up to the dais if there's any questions or comments for either Adriana or anyone else who's with us tonight. Mr. Kilberg.
No, I think it's great that you're here this evening in that Red Ribbon Week lives on here in Geneva. I believe Red Ribbon Week has probably 25 to 30 years of history in the community. I can remember candlelight vigils on this city's steps here. A lot of your predecessors have continued to carry the torch for Red Ribbon. And I commend you for being here tonight and for your good works in the district and in the community. I know the O'Hallorans were a family here in Geneva that championed Red Ribbon Week for a number of years. Becky Furnish, who passed away a few years ago, was also a dynamic force in promoting Red Ribbon Week in the community. And her legacy, her contributions to the community lives on now through the Becky Furnish Foundation that was just launched within the last year. And they had a fundraiser this last week, and her efforts in the community through education and through keeping kids safe in Geneva, helping kids that are in need with Becky's Closets and her donations to the elementary schools and other schools in the Fox Valley for supplies that underprivileged kids do not have access to or their parents can't afford. This is her outreach to the community in a very meaningful way. And I commend you and wish you the best as you carry this forward to the community this week. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for being able to help keep it going.
Anyone else on the dais? Ms. Berghardt, then Ms. Ruby.
Thanks for being here tonight. You're a very good public speaker.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you, how do you think COVID impacted teenagers around these issues? Do you think it made any difference in kind of the temptations of drug and alcohol use, or made it worse, or made people feel more lonely and trying stuff? Yeah.
I think definitely isolation was a key part of it, and not being in school made things like achieving or like getting it or like drugs or alcohol a lot easier because they weren't monitored in schools, and it was like you just put your camera on the ceiling and no one knows what you're really doing. So I think especially with COVID like getting over with slightly, I think it's gotten better, especially because people have been noticing the signs and then going to rehab for like addictions, which I think is good.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Ms. Ruby.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm always so impressed when a high school student has the courage and confidence to stand up and speak about something so mature and so important. And, there's so much peer pressure, and you are on a pedestal to me, and there are many others who speak up and encourage others to make good choices. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. This was very stressful. As you might have heard,
You did
there was
awesome.
supposed to be some more people here and like 5 other people, and now I'm the only one, so that was kind of a lot. But thank you.
You're welcome. You get all the credit now. Now you can tease your peers. You can give them a hard time.
Ms. Berger?
I wanted to add kind of what Becky's saying, you don't know how many kids you might be influencing because you do take a public role with this organization, and that might be a reminder, and you might have peers who just don't feel confident or comfortable enough to take a public role, but that might make a decision, might make them make a smarter decision some weekend, knowing that they're not alone and that this is a choice that they can make for a healthier, high school life. So, thanks again.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the dais? Adriana, who else is with us this evening?
This is my mother and
Hi,
then my
Mom.
brother.
Hey, bro. Nice. You must be very proud of your daughter and your sister. And what grade are you in, sir? Senior. Ooh. I know. What the heck, man? And my apologies, Adriana, for taking a picture of you as you were speaking, but I got a good one, though, so it's good. What are you doing next year? Yeah, any thoughts on where?
I really like New York University,
Oh, wow.
and University of Southern California.
A coastal decision. Yeah. What do you hope to study?
Music production.
Is that right? Wow, that's cool. Adriana, you're a sophomore.
Yeah.
You got some time to still think about this.
Yeah.
What's in store for your future?
I want to go into forensics or criminal justice.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
No
cool.
kidding.
No kidding. Wow. What inspires you to take that direction?
Well, my mom, she's a lawyer, so I always kind of like that fighting power. But then I watch a lot of crime shows, and that's very inspirational. I know they're not always the most accurate, but I think they're really exciting, so
Well, that's cool.
yeah. And someone's got to do the hard jobs, like a homicide detective. Like, I'll be willing to take the stand for that, even though it's kind of a lot. But, you know.
And you claim to be under stress for speaking in public, yet you're not.
Sometimes.
That's pretty cool. And school's treating you well this year?
Yeah.
Yeah? How was homecoming?
It was fun.
Yeah? Good. Good to hear. Anything else we should know about you? That's it?
That's all.
What do you do for fun in Geneva?
Well, I hang out with friends.
Yeah?
I mean, that's what everyone does. You know, I play lacrosse.
Oh, you do?
I do. And
Cool.
I'm in SAD Club and Leo's Club.
Of course.
So I guess that's a little bit more about me.
That's good. And how about you, bro? What do you do?
I'm in the choir,
Oh, you are? Baritone?
at bass to lowest of the lows.
Oh, well, cool, man.
Yeah.
You ever see the 7-Up commercial where it says, "Make your mouth water"? Okay, you Google that. Mom, you can have him Google that. No, we'll see how low your voice goes, so. I have a proclamation. We've had a motion and a second to approve the proclamation. By voice vote, I'd like to ask the council to consider their vote on approving the proclamation in whole. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Congratulations. May I take a photo with you?
Yes.
And the advisors as well?
Yes.
And mom and brother, what the heck, man? Let's do it.
Everyone get a photo. Why not?
Throw them all in there, man. And do you want me to single out the friends who didn't join you today?
They'll be singled out eventually. Okay.
Right up there. We'll put the city seal right behind you.
Do you mind taking a
I'd
little
be
bit?
happy to.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm gonna take one too. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
one extra too on the shoulder. Okay, I got it.
We're good. There's not an electric fence there, Mike. There's a video. It'll be posted tomorrow, so. Perfect. 5 minutes is all yours.
If any of them don't turn out, just Ben McCready, you can find me, Assistant City Administrator. I will email them to you tonight. Just
Thank
let
you
me
so
know.
much.
Yep.
Thank you. Or no.
I really I like listening to more like rock music, but I make it up.
It's a little dated, Mayor Burns.
Thank you very much. Be safe, guys. Very cool. Very cool. Continuing, ladies and gentlemen, we're at item 4, amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments this evening? Item 5 is the Omnibus agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are considered to be routine by this council, and those items can be considered and acted upon in one sweeping motion. Is there such a motion? Ooh, Swanson gets the motion, Kosarog gets the second. Always second when you're a Cubs fan? Which item? Yeah, it was not, yeah. On the consent agenda, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Swanson,
Aye.
Berghart,
Aye.
Ruby,
Aye.
Caven,
Aye.
Kilberg,
Aye.
Kasserag,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Marks,
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
The consent agenda has been approved with 9 affirmative votes, 0 nay votes, and 1 absent. We jump down to item number 10, municipal bills for payment. We kindly ask our city clerk to read the bills in their aggregate for our consideration, and then we pause to see who's going to offer the, is it melodic?
Is it?
Melodious? The words.
We'll wait to see.
We'll wait to see.
The bills for payment total $2,357,094.90.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we present, or that we pay the bills as presented. The amount, the exact item that add up to that amount can be found on the city website.
A motion by Ms. Berghart to approve the bills as presented and available on the city's website, and of course in our packets as well. Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Ms. Mayer. Any questions, any comments? Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready, please take the roll call.
Berghart,
Aye.
Ruby,
Aye.
Caven,
Aye.
Kilberg,
Aye.
Kasserag,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Marks,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
The municipal bills have been approved and will be paid accordingly with a vote of 9 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent. We jump to item 11A, Committee of the Whole items of business. 11A is approve resolution number 2022-88, authorizing the execution of a supplemental agreement from Stanley Consultants in an amount of $39,122 to the professional services agreement for design services for the Southeast Development Project for a revised cost total not to exceed $621,532. Is there a motion? Ms. Mayer makes the motion, seconded by Mr. Caven. Mr. McCready?
Just a few brief words of intro there. The city originally entered into a professional services agreement with Stanley Consultants in 2014 and amended the agreement in July of 2018 for design services for the Southeast Development Project. The amended contract allowed for design services to be completed and reflects the changes in cost and the rebid of the substation transformer. I do believe the updated agenda item tonight addresses some of the questions that were brought up previously, and then joining us in the audience is Director Babica to speak to any other questions there may be on this item.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the dais for Mr. Babica? Mr. Swanson, sir.
I just wanted to thank you for adding the additional detail, the hours and the new rates and information that details asking for an additional $39,000. That gives us more information going forward. So I appreciate that, adding that information. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, Madam Clerk, if you're ready, please take the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor?
Aye.
Swanson?
Aye.
Burkhart?
Aye.
Ruby?
Aye.
Caven?
Aye.
Kilberg?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Maladra?
Aye.
Marks?
Aye. With a vote of 9 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent, item 11A has been approved by this city council. We jump to item 12, presentations of ordinances, resolutions, petitions, and bids. Item 12A is to consider approval of ordinance number 2022-40, proposing the establishment of a special service area number 34, Emma's Landing Subdivision, Kane County, Illinois. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Mayor makes the motion. Seconded by Mr. Kosarog. Mr. McCready.
The next item here is an ordinance to establish an SSA as required for backup financing mechanism to cover maintenance of stormwater detention areas should the owners not properly maintain them. This allows the city to collect funds through the SSA to pay for this rather than the general fund. The establishment ordinance was previously approved by City Council and a public hearing was held on April 18th, 2022. This is the final ordinance to approve the SSA, and once again joining us tonight is Rich Babica, Director of Public Works, to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the dais for Mr. Babica? Seeing none and sensing none, Madam Clerk, whenever you're available, please take the roll.
Mayor?
Aye.
Burkhart?
Aye.
Ruby?
Aye.
Caven?
Aye.
Kilberg?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Maladra?
Aye.
Marks?
Aye.
Mayor? Oh, sorry.
Can I vote? Aye.
Swanson?
Yes.
Thank you, sorry.
With 41 votes in the affirmative,
So sorry.
with 9 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent, item 12A has been approved by this council. Item 12B is to consider approval of resolution number 2022- good Lord, I can't read that, 91, rejecting all bids received for the 2022 sidewalk and curb maintenance program. Is there a motion? Mr. Kilberg makes the motion, Ms. Mayor makes the second. Mr. McCready, sir.
The resolution before you is to reject the bids received for the sidewalk curb and maintenance program following a third bid opening. Staff is recommending the bids be rejected and specifications and quantities be revised and this be rescheduled for a future date. And again, we have none other than Director of Public Works, Rich Babica, to answer any questions you may have on this.
Questions or comments from the dais for Mr. Babica?
Right here.
Oh, Mr. Kilberg, excuse me.
Yeah, Rich, where does this leave us then? We're getting toward the end of the season here, and it would appear then that without awarding this contract, are we pushing this into 2023 then? And what does that do to our schedule in for 2023 as far as sidewalk and curb maintenance?
Well, what this is impacting is really just the independent sidewalk and ADA program. So we will be rebidding, we're revising the quantities and working with the state of Illinois with the grant that we had secured. And we will be submitting this out for bid in a project in April of '23, which will still get it completed within this fiscal year. And then we will have another project after May 1st of '23 for the typical work period.
What do you attribute the fact that the bids were off by such a wide margin from what we'd estimated the cost would be this year? As concrete, obviously, are contractors so busy that this isn't appeal to them, or?
We're attributing it to the unit prices that we received that are most attributable to the pit worker strike So
Okay.
these are the after effects reverberations of that strike.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, whenever you're available, please take the roll call vote on item 12B.
Kilberg,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Kasserag,
Aye.
Marks,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Burkhart. Aye. Ruby,
Aye.
Caven.
Aye.
With 9 votes in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent, item 12B has been approved by this city council.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 12C, consider approval of ordinance number 2022-41, amending Title 11, zoning, section 11-14-5A, parentheses C, types of variations authorized to allow sign variations considering 2 additional signs beyond the maximum allowed amount of signs upon a zoning lot. Is there a motion to bring this to the floor?
So moved.
Mr. Kosarog makes the motion. Mr. Marks, was it? Makes the second. Mr. McCready?
In January of 2022, the applicant applied for a sign variation for his property at 1950 through 2000 South Batavia Avenue. As noted in the packet, the subject property contains multiple businesses between 2 office buildings. The subject property is permitted to have 1 freestanding sign per the zoning ordinance. However, the property currently has a total of 3 freestanding signs along Batavia Avenue. Any request for a sign variation outside the 6 allowable variations detailed in the zoning ordinance cannot be considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission or City Council. Since the applicant is seeking 2 additional signs, or a total of 3 signs, versus 1 additional sign, the applicant is seeking a text amendment to the sign variation section of the zoning ordinance. This proposed text amendment would allow up to 2 additional signs of any type beyond the maximum amount of signs allowed through the sign variation process. Concurrently, and this goes with the next item on your agenda, the applicant has applied for a variation to allow for 2 additional signs in the event that the City Council approves the text amendment. And I believe we do have the applicant as well as Director DeGroot here to elaborate or answer any questions you have this evening.
The floor is open for questions for either Director DeGroot or Director Babica. Mr. Swanson, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. This question is for you, David. This is not the first time that we've had a variance like this come before us, and it seems that the problem that is triggering this is the sign ordinance is based on PIN number or a lot. And both of these, in the recent history, we've allowed additional signs on very large lots. So my question is, have we considered adjusting the sign ordinance to make exceptions for large parcels where 1 sign might not be the best fits-all ordinance for a large parcel?
So the Plan Commission raised a similar concern before recommending to approve the requested text amendment. They continued the public hearing and asked staff to do some research to figure out where we might have similar situations. And in our research, in all the cases where we have multiple signs on a larger lot, those have been developed as PUDs where they've established their own sign regulations through the PUD process. And this campus, if it were constructed today, would likely be developed under a PUD and would have gone through that same process. And we weren't able to identify other properties that kind of are in the same situation.
Well, you're saying with multiple signs. However, this could come up if someone had 1 sign and wanted to add a second one on a large property, or for example, a through street property that might front 2 different streets. So,
right. And the variation process currently allows you to ask for that second sign, but not for the 3rd sign. Right.
Okay. It seems to me that we keep repeating this same cycle where perhaps our sign ordinance shouldn't be one size fits all. And if it had some relief for large properties, perhaps we would be avoiding this situation or putting the applicant through a very long process. So I would just like consideration to be given to updating that sign ordinance and perhaps making it more amenable to all property owners or large property owners. Thank you.
Anyone else from the dais? Ms. Burkhart?
Thank you. So can I clarify, I'm trying to clarify
course.
what Alderman Swanson, so you're saying if a parcel, Alderman Swanson, if a parcel was a certain size or had a unique frontage on two streets, they would automatically be allowed to put up two signs and wouldn't have to go through the variation process? Is that what you're saying?
Correct,
Got it.
correct.
Okay.
And we approved, I believe, just last year, I believe it was St. Mark's, was the exact same situation with one pin, although it was a very large property. So going through, making the applicant go through this process seems to be an undue burden for particularly large properties.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else from the dais? On the matter, which is 12C, if we're prepared to vote, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Katsarok,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Marks,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Burkhart,
Aye.
Ruby,
Aye.
Caven,
Aye.
Kilberg.
Aye.
With a vote of 9 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent, item 12C has been approved by this council. Item 12D, of course, is related. Item 12D is consider approval of ordinance number 2022-42, granting a sign variation to allow 3 freestanding signs located at 1950 to 2000 Batavia Avenue. And I guess technically speaking, South Batavia Avenue. Is there a motion? Mr. Kilberg made the motion. Who do you want to? I'll take that one. Okay, Swanson gets the second. Mr. McCready?
No additional comments to add here. This is the
Okay.
follow-up item of the request for the additional signs.
Any questions or comments from the dais for either Mr. DeGroot, Mr. Babica, and of course, the applicant, Mr. Burns, is here as well. Sensing, Mr. Swanson?
Do you want to address, as applicant, do you want to address the council at all, or if not, that's fine too?
Rather not.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Kilberg,
Aye.
Katsarok,
Aye.
Maladra,
Aye.
Marks,
Aye.
Mayor,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Burkhart,
Aye.
Ruby,
Aye.
Caven.
Aye.
With a vote of 9 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 1 absent, item 12D has been approved by this council. Item 12E, consider approval of resolution number 2022-92, restating and extending the site plan granted for the construction of a mixed-use building consisting of 60 residential apartment units, 6,014 square feet of commercial space, and 63 off-street parking spaces located at 609 South 3rd Street. Is there a motion to bring this to the floor? Mayor makes the motion. Kosarog makes the second. McCready, the floor is yours.
In August of 2020, the City Council approved Resolution 2020-21, which granted site plan approval for a mixed-use building at 609 South 3rd Street. The Geneva zoning ordinance allows site plan approval to be effective for 1 year unless a building permit has been issued and construction has commenced. The site plan approval previously granted was restated and extended on October 4th, 2022. I believe that's a typo on my part here. Let me get you the right date there. Extended, I believe that was 2021, if that's correct, David. The owner has submitted a second request to restate the previous approval and to extend the deadline to obtain building permits and begin construction by another year. And I do believe we have the applicant join us online, if that's correct, and as well, Director DeGroot to answer any questions you have. And I do not see the applicant online right now, so, no.
From the dais, questions for Mr. DeGroot, and we are going to try to connect with the applicant as well. Mr. Swanson, sir?
Thank you, Mayor. This request is not for the current developer to complete the project, but it's to keep the project alive for them to sell that. Is that correct? Sell the property?
In their written request, they stated that they are still exploring the possibility of completing it themselves, but they are also exploring the potential of selling the project.
Okay, and I guess my question is, what due diligence did we do on the front end with respect to the developer? And if they were to sell this property to a second developer with the plans in existence already, are we giving up the right to do any due diligence on this second purchasing developer?
I guess, I mean, our due diligence is our review process through the site plan review process, through our development staff team, the planning commission, and the city council.
And we had the developer come before us so that we could flesh out details as to whom they were going to rent the retail space to and who their targeted tenants were going to be. And if they were to sell this property and keep the plans alive to an unknown developer, we're giving up that right to discuss that with them.
I guess we don't approve developers, we approve projects.
Understood. But in this case, we have no idea who the developer may or may not be if they do sell the property.
I mean, and it's been under contract twice over the past year, and each of those developers has reached out to city staff to get a good understanding of the project, to make sure they understand where it stands with the city, what utility obstacles there are, all of that. So, I mean, I suspect if they do sell it, we'll have similar contact with the new developer moving forward.
Okay, so I guess if they were to continue to move forward, I understand that. It just seems we've already extended it once, and at some point, we have to say perhaps this project wasn't meant to be. And if they were to sell the property and we didn't approve tonight extending, they would still have the right to bring that same project forward.
Correct.
So we're not closing the door on anything, we're just saying enough's enough. It's been 2 years, let's put it to bed.
It's been a very unique 2 years, though, in the construction world.
Understood, I guess, so, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So what leaves me uncomfortable about that is all we're doing if we don't extend it is reserving the right to say, I don't like this developer. And that's not in our purview. Our purview is, do we approve of the proposed use for the property? And so my question would be, what do we benefit by not extending this? We've approved the property for the transit-based housing. We've approved it for so much retail, et cetera, et cetera. As long as whoever owns that property creates that project that we approved, then I think we're good. I don't see how we benefit by vetting the developer and saying, I don't like you, so I'm not gonna approve this thing that I already proved 2 years ago. I'm uncomfortable with continually kicking the can down the road, but I recognize that there are certain complications that result from the current market environment and everything else, similar to our sidewalk bids and things like that. Things are just, up in the air and odd right now. So whether these guys sell it or not, I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with the development that we approved. I'm uncomfortable with the idea that I might say I don't like this developer. I don't think we can do that. So I'm good with extending it, unless somebody can tell me that there's a benefit to the city for not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Kilberg? Then Mr. Marks?
You said that you had follow-up from a couple of interested parties.
Right.
Did any of them indicate that the third rail was an impediment and that the fact that there was going to be so much construction taking place to the north of the property, that was something that they saw as a factor?
Not in the conversations I've had, no.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you.
Well,
Mr. Marks, sir?
David, did we change zoning on this when we approved this? I could not.
Not when the request came through, no. The zoning was changed as part of the downtown zoning update a few years back, and this
That's
project came after that and complied with those regulations.
Okay. And remind me, what was the 63 spots of off-street parking space? Was that just on the road around it, or
No,
I know that there was
so
a discussion about that.
It's kind of an L-shaped building,
Yeah.
and the parking was tucked behind the building at grade.
Okay, all right, got it, thank you. I will say, it just seems like this has gone on for a while, but, you know, again, we approved the concept, and the concept is, I think, still amenable to most people. It's just, I wish we would get something moving, to be honest with you. And that would be my express to the developer. I mean, I will tell you, I'd be hard-pressed to give him another one a year from now.
Anyone else on the dais? Ms. Mayor?
Just so I understand, how many votes are required for this to pass?
6.
6.
Ms. Burkhart?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be voting no against the extension, and the applicant provides my reasoning in the letter, which is the Sumac Jupiter 4, or JV, has undergone management, operational, and ownership changes since December 2021, and has recently finalized its transition to the new ownership that I represent. During this transition, it has been the owners, so the new owner's intent to sell the site and approve plans to a more suitable local developer. I just feel that we approved this a few years back now under certain conditions to a certain ownership group. There's just, in that 2 sentences, how much uncertainty is there? I think the loss to the city is the market has changed, the world has changed, and maybe there's another developer out there that wants to do something, with that property. And I worry that if we approve this extension, a year from now, we're going to be, they're going to be coming back to us again. I just, I guess I'm ready to see some movement there. And if this isn't the right, if this developer can't do it, then maybe it's time to let the property, again, see what it's meant to be now under today's current conditions. So, thank you.
Mr. Caven, Mr. Kosarog?
Thank you. Well, I would like to see something done there as well, and I don't want to keep giving extensions after extensions, but with the last 2 years, I'm still comfortable with doing this today and hoping that something gains traction and they're not back asking again. And I guess my other question would be, so if we grant this extension and they sell the property, the new property owners could still come back to us with some other different proposal for that site if they bought it, even though this one has been extended. If somebody else purchased it, could they come back to the city and say, hey, I know this is what the site approval was, we'd like to start the process over, we just purchased this, we think that this other use would be better? Is that somebody could
correct.
still do that? So that doesn't, extending this does not eliminate the fact that some developer who purchases the property says, market conditions have maybe changed, or I have a better idea for this. So I think that extending this doesn't preclude any of that from happening, which is why I'm okay with it. And if the people that still do own it, it sounded like from what you said, David, that they maybe are going to sell, but it is possible that they would still undertake the same project themselves. So by extending this, maybe somebody actually starts construction in 4 or 5 months instead of waiting. So I'm comfortable with it. Thank you.
Ms. Burkhart, no, excuse me, Mr. Kosarog, forgive me.
I was just going to ask the question that Alderman Caven asked. I guess I just see this as a selling point to market the property. So if we want it developed, we should continue to allow a site plan approval that was done, help them market it. If they want to do their own thing, great, no problem, start from scratch. So I don't get what the opposition is. That's all I was going to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who has not yet spoken? Wish to do so? Ms. Ruby?
Thank you. Just a question. What is the time frame of when we approve the plans? How long does the developer have before they need to renew it?
They have a year.
1 year?
Right, so
Okay.
this time next year. And where we were, the permits were ready to go. They were ready to be issued at the counter. So the review is done. It's really just a matter of securing the financing for the project to go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Mayor?
I was just going to say that, I mean, I have a lot of projects that are stalled in the past 2 years, and I understand what's being said about getting projects started, but if you want the project to start, you should vote for the approval of the site plan that's already in the bag, because it saves them 4 months, basically, maybe a little more, to have that already approved by us, and they can get to a starting point quicker. So, I think it was a good site plan when I reviewed it for the first time last year and had to vote for it. I think it was a good site plan the year before when you guys all approved it and reviewed it. I think it's a good site plan now. So a developer has to abide by all the rules that are created to protect the public from bad developments. So there's nothing that can go wrong here except a building get to replace Duke and Lee's, which is what we all want, I think. So I'm going to vote for it.
Anyone else who has not yet spoken, or anyone who wishes to speak a second time? Mr. McCready, do we have anyone joining us?
Nobody joining us online.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we are prepared to vote, I will kindly ask our clerk to take a roll call. Again, a simple majority is required to adopt this resolution.
Mayor?
Aye.
Swanson?
Nay.
Burkhart?
Nay.
Ruby?
Aye.
Caven?
Aye.
Kilberg?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Maladra?
Aye.
Marks?
With a vote of 7 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, and 1 absent, item 12E has been approved by this council. Item 13, folks, public comment and new business. Again, I'll just check with our friend, Mr. McCready, if there's anyone joining us who wishes to comment remotely.
No one
Otherwise,
joining us.
from the dais? Any new business, any curiosities, any? Okay, then, heck. Item 14, folks, closed session on the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, 120-2, subsection C, 5. Is there a motion to go into closed session regarding that matter and that matter alone? Motion by Mr. Marks. Was it? Seconded by Mr. Kosarog. Yes, and there'll be no action on this. Roll call vote, please.
Marks?
Aye.
Mayor? Aye. Swanson?
Aye.
Burkhart? Aye. Ruby?
Aye.
Caven?
Aye.
Kilberg? Aye. Kasserag? Aye. Maladra?
Aye.
We will transition to closed session. Ladies and gentlemen, from the council, I entertain a motion to return to open session. Motion by Mayor, seconded by Caven. All in favor of returning to open session, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The vote is 9 in the affirmative, 0 negative, and 1 absent. We are back in open session. Is there anything by anyone about any topic? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Ooh, because Marks was yawning, Kosarog gets the motion. There's a motion to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned, folks. Thank you.